What is the college football public's temperature on Miami? Because I've noticed a lot of emotion sneak into the room. So rarely can I go out on the streets, or rarely can I send Bradley the associate out on the streets for me to poll people. And he asks them, hey, what do you think about Miami, fam? And the guy says, well, I hate him. Or Mario's going to win the national title. There's no in between. There's just a bunch of emotion. And here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for logic. I'm looking for sound, well thought out reasoning. I'm looking for them going 5-7 last year, and this year they go what and why. Well, the best case for Miami this year, I think, is 10-2. I think there's a path to a double-digit win season. This would just mean the dynamic really was that bad last year. And it would mean both those coordinator hires this year were slam dunks. And it would mean that portal class hit the spot. And that true freshman class, Francis Malagoa and company, they really hit the spot. Offensive line and defensive line hype was legit, as it turns out. Run defense ended up coming of age. It wasn't a glaring weakness, and Tyler Van Dyke was back under Shannon Dawson's offense. That's what it would mean if they go 10-2. So that's the best case. It's the ACC. Now, they got a pretty difficult schedule, but we're talking best case here. Yeah, there's a 10-win season in there somewhere. But, man, there's a 6-6 in there, too, because I think that's the worst case for Miami. And I go right back to the schedule. If they're wobbly, if they're weak, if there's a glaring weakness, like run defense, for example, you get no breaks here. You play A&M, they can smash you if that's a weakness. Clemson can smash you. Look, you play NC State, you play Florida State, Louisville. A lot of these teams can take advantage of that if it's that big a weakness. Those first-year coordinators, maybe you don't have the synergy that you want. And, look, maybe it's as simple as run defense. Or maybe Tyler Van Dyke has another down year and you're left wondering, wow, what happened? Why was his first year as a starter his best year? Stuff happens in college football all the time. Now, I don't necessarily think that's the way we're going this year, but I have to acknowledge that's the worst case, 6-6. So the most likely record for Miami, I went back and forth on this, is 8-4. That's where I'm going with them. So I do slightly like the over, slightly. But I'm tempering expectation too. I think it'll be a transitional season. If you grew up in Georgia, where I grew up, you know how radical spring and fall can be. It's that way in a lot of the country. Like you could have a high of 80 and a high of 40, and that can happen in the same week. You folks who live out in Denver, for example, you know what those transition seasons are like. Well, you could have an entire football season that's a transition season too. And that could mean that you end up beating Florida State, but losing by 3 touchdowns to Texas A&M. Both of those things can happen same year. I think that'll be what it feels like. I think, though, that there'll be certainly enough promise and enough northward pointing arrows that make you think 2024 is going to be the year. I think Miami will be a very hyped team next year because of some of the flashes that they show this year. So I'm going 8-4 for them. I will be hawking the comment schedule or the comment section for what you think about that schedule and what you think they're going to do this year.